This is always the awkward part where I'm like, oh, is it live? There's a delay. I think we're live. So, hello, everyone who has joined for this today's live stream. We're going over the best tools for medical keto and metabolic health. Maybe a bit of a clarification there. They're what I have found personally to be the best tools that have helped me in terms of implementing ketogenic therapy and metabolic therapies in the treatment of my schizoaffective disorder. So, I'm going to kind of walk you through all of the different gadgets and tools that I used, some that I found really, really helpful and maybe even crucial to how I navigated this, and some that maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't recommend or that we even stopped using. But I'm going to kind of walk you through everything and, yeah, why we used what we did. All right. So, just taking a peek at the chat. Hello, everyone. Hi. Cool. I'm excited. I always really like getting to answer you guys' questions in this kind of live format. So maybe we will just dive in as people still kind of trickle in. So maybe I will start briefly with the ketone monitors that we used because those are kind of crucial when you're doing medical ketogenic therapy to be monitoring and measuring your ketone levels. Now, we did already do a whole other live stream, which maybe I will add a link to in the description below afterward, or a link. I don't know what I'll do, whatever. I will send you in that direction, but you can find it in our live streams too. It was specifically looking at, I think we specifically looked at the Keto Mojo, so the blood pricking glucose and ketone monitor, as well as the SciBio CKM, continuous ketone monitor. So I go really into depth in what we used there. So check that one out. But just briefly, um, I use this one primarily, the CKM. Yeah, it works great. Unfortunately, I think that they're still not available to people who live in the United States. I'm in Canada, so have been able to have access to them. They're so helpful if you can get your hands on them. They are a little bit pricey too, so that may be a barrier to access, but if you can, they're really helpful. I'll just quickly maybe show what it looks like on the app. So these are my current ketones right now. So I'm sitting at 3.7, and it gives you like whatever time frame you want to look at. So this is the last 24 hours, a little graph of my ketones. But they last for about 14 days, well, for 14 days. And so, yeah, they're super helpful. But also have used the Keto Mojo, which is the blood prick. And this is kind of helpful because it also gives you a glucose reading. So you can test your glucose and your ketones. And together, it also gives you a GKI score when you link it to the app on your phone. That can just be another helpful metric to make sure you are in a therapeutic range of ketosis and insulin levels and blood sugar and such. So that's pretty cool. Just briefly, really quickly, those are the big ones that we use, but also just going over the other stuff that we used. We tried the BioSense like breathalyzer ketone monitor, but I think they actually went out of business, so they don't exist anymore. But we tried this. It wasn't great. It got to a point where I would just blow the maximum all the time, and there was no granularity to the data that I was getting. So we just completely stopped this one because it was a little bit redundant. It just told me I was in ketosis, but I already kind of knew that.
It could be that the breathalyzers are more like for like fat diet.
So Rob just said off camera, I don't know if you can hear, that these breathalyzers may be more geared toward keto as like the weight loss diet, so that you can kind of just get an idea of, okay, I'm in nutritional ketosis. But when you're looking at getting into the more therapeutic levels of medical ketosis, it's just not helpful. And so the Keto Mojo and the CKM are far more effective at doing that. Same goes for the urine test strips. And so again, we did a full video going over into this and a live stream. So you can learn more at either of those. But yeah, the urine strips were pretty not inaccurate, but just hard to get precision and granular data from those. So I think that was it for ketone monitors. Just gonna check the chat here. Did you have any problems sleeping with beginning with keto? I did, yeah. So the first little bit of switching to keto, I almost felt like I was slipping into mania a little bit because I had so much energy and I was having difficulty sleeping. I was having a little bit of trouble with some insomnia. Not really insomnia, maybe just feeling like I didn't need as much sleep. and having a bit of a hard time with like bedtime and getting to sleep and whatnot. I think that that is normal to some degree. You do need to stay on top of it so that it doesn't become an exacerbated issue if you're not getting sleep and whatnot. And so, what was recommended to me actually in the beginning was even leaning on sleep aids if I needed, just in that transition period. I don't think I ever did take like prescription sleep medicine, but I did use melatonin. And that was helpful. And also just making sure that I was being really regimented about following a strict routine of when I went to bed and woke up and whatnot, and trying to like, yeah, solidify that routine as much as possible to help make sure that I was getting enough sleep in that transition period. That said, about 3 weeks in, I think maybe, it definitely did start to get better. So if it is something you are navigating, try to make sure you're staying on top of it and paying attention to it not becoming a problem as much as possible. Ask for support if you need around making sure that you are getting enough sleep, but hopefully it will start to alleviate and get better. I don't struggle with that at all anymore. Ah, da, 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 da. Someone said, I think AI has to be a useful resource to plan meals and know keto sources, but I imagine a direct keto coach slash therapist is more educated. Totally. So that's actually something I'm going to maybe get into a little bit later in this live stream, actually, is how we, specifically Rob, I think, used AI a lot to kind of guide how he did keto. I agree with you. I think that it's definitely not at a place yet where it can replace a knowledgeable specialist who can provide that level of personalized guidance, but it can be a really useful tool.
Do you plan on being in ketosis for life?
Do you plan on being in ketosis for life? Um, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on that. I get asked that a lot, and I guess I don't know at this point. I think maybe not, but again, that's going to really depend on what it looks like in a few years' time. I think that I'm super stable where I'm at, and I am even noticing that I can be a little bit more lenient at times with carbs or protein intake and whatnot. But that said, I think regardless, I am never going to go back to eating the way I did before, in terms of I will never go back to eating sugar and refined carbohydrates or processed foods or any of that kind of thing. I think I have really learned how that negatively impacts my body and my brain. And so I think even if I do go back to eating more carbohydrates, it's never going to be that kind. And I'm always going to still pay attention in that way to what I eat. But that said, maybe I do even integrate some more complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes or whatever that may be. And maybe it doesn't go well. Maybe I get symptoms back. And so I think, yeah, kind of what I've learned along this last year and a half too is just the importance of constantly checking in and figuring out what is going to work best for you and your body and your brain. And that is actually why we're sharing this video right now, this live stream, about the gadgets that I use to be able to build up that insight into my own personal biometrics and whatnot, and what ultimately is going to be best for me. So maybe I will get back into this. So the next kind of section maybe that I'll tackle in terms of gadgets and stuff that I used is fitness trackers. So this was a really big one and an important one in terms of being able to look at different kinds of metrics like recovery metrics, things like sleep analysis, things like watching my HRV, my heart rate variability, my resting heart rate, all this kind of stuff, and even cycle tracking, because I did start to get a regular menstrual cycle again, switching to keto. And so all of these sorts of things were really, really helpful in terms of giving me more insight into what my body and brain was liking or what was affecting me, how, and then comparing that with my ketone levels and comparing it also with how I was feeling mentally and physically, and really, really good. So the main ones that I used, my Garmin watch, I had this even before I started keto. I wore this all the time for years now, and it's primarily because I run, and so it's a really great way to keep track of all that. But it also tracked sleep and all those things I mentioned, like HRV, heart rate, blah blah blah. But it's not the best at tracking that. And so when we started this keto project, decided to try even better or more intentional kind of tracker in that way. And so we were looking at two different options. We were looking at the Aura ring and we were looking at the Whoop wristband. Sorry, it started. I haven't used this one in a while. It was in my drawer. And we ended up deciding, well, I ended up deciding to go with the Whoop band. And I loved it. It was so good. I think especially like as more of a athletic person, it was awesome in terms of giving me feedback on like recovery metrics and strain and whatnot. And the sleep metrics on this like way exceeded my Garmin. So that was really, really cool. I switched to Aura in like December. So I did about a full year with the Whoop, and then I just kind of wanted to compare the two, and so I switched to Aura. But they're both like subscription based, so I don't know if I still have access to the Whoop to show what it looks like. Try to pull up the last time I used it, which would have been, I will just look at a random day. Ah, it wants me to rejoin. Hang on. Okay, so this is kind of what it would have looked like on any given day. I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit of a glare. It's not really because I don't have an active subscription, but it shows you like your recovery. It shows you the strain on your body for that day. It shows you your sleep score, and you can kind of go through and see, did running that day. Oh, didn't used to give me my VO2 max. Cool. Okay, it gives me VO2 max now. Calories burned, stress monitor, strain and recovery. So this was the big one with Whoop, this like strain and recovery. Thanks, Rob. He's trying. We can see your hands in the reflection. We're just making it work. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. But actually, I think I've been using the Aura since December. So almost a half a year now. And I think I actually am preferring the Aura ring. Oops, where is it? So, okay, this is what the Aura interface looks like. Oh, the reflection. Okay, there we go. It's not bad. So it gives you all these, this is hard to look at and also show you. So it gives you like a readiness score, your sleep score, your activity score, cycle tracking. I found it to be better on this one, but that said, I didn't have a regular cycle yet when I was using Whoop, so maybe Whoop is just as good. I don't know. Heart rate, stress, yada, yada, activity. And you can turn off like seeing calories and stuff if that is something that feels tough for you or activating or triggering or whatever. You can totally turn those things off too in terms of looking at activity and stuff. So like heart rate, cardiovascular age. I'm just going to give Rob a little side eye because we've been kind of competing on this. So my cardiovascular age is allegedly 13 years below my chronological age. Something interesting to note here is that, yes, we've been competing, Rob and I, because that's just what we do. Apparently, we're competitive people. And his was it was -10. So he was like, his heart age was 10 years below his chronological age. But recently, we haven't talked too much about this on the channel yet, but he kind of experimented with going back, reintroducing carbs, and kind of in the way that I just described of not going back to like refined carbohydrates and processed foods at all or anything like that, but just like sweet potatoes, lentils, and those sorts of things. And when he did that, it dropped. Well, I guess it increased. How would you word that? He's now 6 years below his chronological age, which is still good. That's still great.
But over the course of a month.
But it was really only like over a month span of time. He like lost 4 years of heart age health. So I don't know. That's completely anecdotal evidence stuff.
I've been doing VO2 max training though too, so there could be some correlation there.
VO2 max training should increase your heart health. Sorry, we're having a conversation off camera now. You probably can't hear him, but it's interesting and maybe something that we should explore more. But yeah, that was kind of a gist of Aura. As I said, I've really, really also especially liked the like cycle tracking, and That's been super interesting to also kind of correlate with my mental health and with ketone levels and whatnot. And that's not really something that was ever really a part of my understanding of myself and my body and my brain before. And so it's been super cool to be able to understand that all better too, as that all regulates and I can get this kind of data. I feel like I just talked way too much about all that. What else? In terms of those kinds of trackers, yeah, I think that's what we used. And then in terms of like apps for that kind of stuff too, I run a lot, and so Strava is like a big thing that I use. Um, Strava is basically a app where you can share your running and other activities too, cycling, whatever, you name it. And it's kind of just a fun way to add in like a social element to making sure you stay accountable and on top of exercise and movement and stuff. And my family and friends are all on Strava, and you can give each other kudos on your run and share whatever tidbits of it and stuff. And it's kind of a nice way to increase motivation sometimes too, if that's something that you need a little bit of an extra push or encouragement with. Uh, uh, uh. In terms of like more fitness tracking, the gym, we joined a gym at the beginning of this keto journey, and they have something called an in-body scale there, which is similar to a DEXA scan, I think. DEXA is a lot more accurate. This one's a little bit more like woo-wee. But I think it was still good. You hold on to things. It's legit. Yeah. But it was really cool in terms of giving us like a breakdown of like our muscle mass and our like bone density, I think even. And just being able to see progression in that regard was really cool. We were able to get these scans done, I don't know, every like 3 months, quarter of a year. And it was cool to see throughout this process, like how much our body fat changed, how much our muscle mass changed, and to just get more like insight into that too. Um, and then, yeah, I never really tracked weight throughout this. I feel like that was a big concern of a lot of people people were like, "Ah, you're losing weight." I have gained weight over the last year and a half. Oh yeah, Rob's like, just tell me to flex off screen. Like honestly, I actually gained a lot of muscle throughout this process. And so maybe that's why I looked different, but I actually gained weight. Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna check back in here with the chat. Totally missing the heart shirt, but I love the live stream. Thanks. You were here last time. I appreciate the love for the heart shirt. Um So I'm crazy about my Whoop stats. I noticed a decrease in HRV and increase in resting heart rate, but I have a similar story like you, so I can't really go off keto. How did your metrics develop? Yeah, that was actually super interesting too to see that when I started keto, I had a similar experience. I don't know about HRV. Maybe it did decrease a little bit when I started keto, and I definitely noticed an increase in my resting heart rate as well. Honestly, I think I still see that to a degree. My resting heart rate is maybe back down to pre-keto levels, like at night. Like it's the lowest it will get is like low 40s. And I think that's typical for me, 40s to like maybe low 50s. But when I'm exercising, my heart rate, I think, is still higher than it was pre-keto. And so I don't really know what that means. We are going to be trying to explore what like performance and athletics and stuff look like while on a low carb diet, like medical ketogenic therapy. And obviously, that's going to incorporate stuff like that. Yeah, someone just said keto is rough for lifting heavy. And how was it?
It's fine.
You get used to it. Rob says, I just did that today. And he's like, it's fine. You get used to it. And I kind of feel the same way. Like I don't really find much of a problem with that sort of thing, like lifting heavy weights and stuff like that. I think the main problem that I find is sustained fast running feels a lot harder for me on keto. And so I haven't quite figured that out yet. But we are exploring some potential other options, so stay tuned for that. Oh, do you see that second last one? How do you stay in ketosis when Rob is so sweet? He's just giggling off camera. Thanks for that. But yeah, it's hard. Question, why did you choose running as your exercise of choice? Why not walking or weights or another type of exercise? All of those are good options, I think. And I definitely do incorporate weights as well. I think I've learned that that is an important element of it too. I've just always ran, like kind of my whole life. It's been something that was really always very helpful for me, kind of as a coping mechanism, I think. Always really good for my body and my brain. And it's just something that I have loved for a very long time. And so just continue to do it throughout this ketogenic therapy process journey. Oh, someone mentioned, I think like r slash means, what's it called? Reddit. Keto Endurance is a great resource. Cool. Thank you. I will check that out. We just connected recently with Dr. Andrew Kutnick, who I think recently published findings on, they were looking at Ironman triathletes, so very much endurance athletes on low carb diets, and like how much carbohydrates they needed to sustain like endurance performance efforts. And so, yeah, I would love to dive into that more.
It's a lot less than people think.
It is way less than people think.
Like 3.6
I think it was like 3.6 grams of carbs.
Don't quote you.
Yeah, don't quote me on this. I need to revisit this to make sure. Maybe I'll try to find a link to the study to put in the description. But I think it was something like 3.6 grams of carbs per hour, half hour. Anyway, that's like way lower than what most people think. Like I think people are suggesting like in the running world, and okay, granted, this is for people who are not on low carb diets, but they're like, oh yeah, you need like 140, 160 grams of carbs per hour. And it's like, what? Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. But anyway, we are going to be exploring that more. Someone said I'm a little bit quiet. Can you turn up the gain a little bit? We'll do our best. Okay, I'm going to get back into going over the gadgets. So yeah, those like fitness trackers were really big. This Aura, I like check it daily. It is so good in terms of like building up insight. Someone I mentioned did say that they're like crazy about their Whoop metrics or whatever. And you know what? That is maybe something important to talk about, that it can get really overwhelming if you are doing a deep dive into and all like collecting all these different forms of data and whatnot. And there have been points in time where I've had to just take it all off and just take a little breather and kind of check back in with myself about, okay, like where am I at? What's feeling good? What do I want to learn more about? Where do I want to focus? And yeah, kind of recalibrate again. And that's okay. The data is there to help you. It's to help empower you in terms of taking control over your own health and well-being. And so if it's not doing that, if it's becoming overwhelming and too much, take a break. But that said, it can be so helpful, empowering, and just an incredible tool in terms of figuring out what is ultimately going to serve you personally best and building up that personal insight. So maybe the next little topic that we'll tackle is looking at more sleep and circadian rhythm stuff. So I already talked about how I looked at, or I did sleep tracking with various different devices, my Garmin, my Whoop, my Aura. Tried to just focus on one at a time, but it is kind of interesting to see the different types of trends and how they correlate. But anyway, 8 sleep is something that we haven't talked a lot about on this channel yet, but has been like a game changer in terms of improving my sleep quality. So if you're not familiar with it, 8 sleep it's a mattress cover that goes over top of your mattress, and you can adjust the temperature of it to meet your needs at various points. And so the way it works, I think it has like small little tubes of water that it heats or cools depending on your needs. And so it also has AI, I guess, that like changes it based on like the readings it gets off of your body to optimize your sleep quality. And I think just hearing myself say this, it sounds like, oh, okay, sure, yeah. But honestly, like the first week, I think I was using my Whoop still, and it was just like green sleep, which is like good. Like it means that I was having incredible quality of sleep, and it was remarkable, not only in terms of looking at it at my like metrics, but also just how I felt. I remember waking up and being like, oh my God, this is a game changer, how it improved my sleep quality. And I think especially like in the summer months when it's hot, keeping your mattress cool is like, wow. That said, it's kind of got a ridiculous price tag. So, yes, it has been game changing and like instrumental in terms of improving sleep quality. But I don't know about recommending it at this point just because the price point is high. Unfortunately, if it is within your means, I would totally say go for it. Otherwise, like other things that we also tried to do before we got 8 sleep was just focusing on creating as cool and dark of an environment as possible for ourselves. So window open, in getting like cool fresh air in. um, Blackout blinds have been important for us in terms of making sure that our room is dark. We live pretty far north, and so it gets, especially right now, so bright so late at night and so early in the morning. And so without those, it wouldn't be okay. It'd be way too bright in our room. um Comfortable mattress, comfortable pillow. Yeah, it's really important. And making
Focusing on like sleep wake cycle.
Yeah, so Rob just said off camera, focusing on like a sleep wake schedule, and so I had talked about that earlier when I talked about having difficulties in the beginning with sleep, but it's been so important throughout this whole process, and I think it's a undervalued piece of what it means to take care of yourself as a human is really focusing on building a good routine around sleep hygiene and circadian rhythms and whatnot. Uh, so we had also shared early on about a device that I was using, and I showed myself using it. It's these like Luminet. It gets confusing when I call these blue light glasses because there's also like blue light blocking glasses. But these ones, the idea was to wear them. They're so cool too. Was to like, can I turn it on? I don't know, whatever. It's got like, you can't really see it here because it's bright, but it like shines blue light like basically into your eyes. And the idea is to like wear this first thing in the morning to reset your circadian rhythm by getting this light kind of triggering your body to like know that it's time to wake up. However, I should take these off because it's not good for me because I have a bipolar spectrum disorder. And what I learned is that this can be activating for mania. So that could be another element of what was going on early on in this around having difficulties with sleep. And so if you have a bipolar spectrum disorder or you're susceptible to mania, I would not recommend using these. Just focus on getting like natural light in the sunlight in the mornings if at all possible. And yeah, that's going to be the best bet for you. For me too. Sorry, hit my microphone. I don't have them here because they're the wrong prescription now because, that whole saga, if you were around for that with getting the wrong prescription of glasses for so long. I had some blue light blocking glasses, prescription glasses that I was wearing for a while in the evenings, specifically mostly to block out like blue light from devices like phones, whatever, computer, whatever, just to also try to help improve my circadian rhythm by blocking that
Spectrum.
awake inducing blue light like late at night and kind of getting my brain understanding that it was time to go to sleep. Prescription changed and I have not ordered a new pair of specifically blue light blocking glasses. There's like a push for people to just get blue light blocking glasses as their regular glasses, and I was going to do that, But then I also got into a little bit of more information around how that can actually be a problem too if you are just never taking in that blue light, like especially in the mornings and stuff when you kind of do to trigger that circadian rhythm and sleep wake cycle. And so that is why I opted to not get like all the time blue light blocking glasses, but I probably should order a new pair to wear just at night. I just ordered some new glasses and I forgot that. And so now, Rob, I need to put in another order. All right, how we doing in the chat? Have you thought of opening up a keto restaurant? Well, actually, yeah, I feel like we talked about that last year on our anniversary in that video about how like there needs to be better keto options, you know, for going out. And
But even then, it wouldn't be like medical keto.
I feel like this is my necklace is hitting this. Sorry, I'm just gonna throw this behind me so that it's not clanking. This is weird now. It's okay. It wouldn't be medical keto. Why not? Could have a medical keto restaurant. Why not? Let's do it. Start a chain. Change the world. Okay.
Does the paleo diet have the same effect as the keto diet for mental illness?
Okay, I don't see it, but Rob just said that someone asked,
Does the paleo diet?
here it is. Does the paleo diet, oh my goodness, does the paleo diet have the same effect as the keto diet for mental illness? Short answer, I think no, but I would recommend you read Dr. Georgia Eads' book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind, because paleo is actually like the first thing that she recommends trying if you're looking to improve your mental health through diet. It's kind of like the first step in terms of, helping your brain function better from nutrition. But it doesn't necessarily have the same effect of getting your body into a state of ketosis where your brain is then using those ketones that it produces from burning fat to run off of, which we don't know yet why the ketogenic diet is helpful, but that's kind of being theorized that that's a big part of it. And so, am I doing okay here? I'm veering too far into like stuff I'm not qualified to talk about. Anyway, I think that switching to a paleo diet from like a standard American diet would absolutely be helpful, but it's not going to have the same effects as following a medical ketogenic diet. And I think what Dr. Eid suggests to kind of like see what's going to be most helpful for you is trying a paleo diet. And if that doesn't give you the benefits you want, moving into a ketogenic diet. And if that doesn't give you the benefits that you want, even going a step further to a carnivore diet. And she talks more about specific things to pay attention to in all those different kinds of ways of eating. And yeah, it's a really excellent resource. So I would really recommend checking that out to learn more about that specifically. There's a lot of F words in one of them, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you. Also cool that you're interested in this as a medical student. Where can we get information on starting medical keto, like finding doctors, etc.? So our channel is becoming a bigger resource. There's lots of information, but I would recommend you checking out the Metabolic Mind YouTube channel too. Also, their website is kind of just a plethora of information and resources for people who are interested in trying metabolic therapies to treat their mental illness. They also, I think, have a link on their website to a clinician directory, actually, that I think is run by Dr. Georgia Eid as well. I think it's diagnosisdiet.com. Rob, can you verify that?
I believe so, yes.
Diagnosisdiet.com. We're going to verify that, that that's the right channel or link. But I think that's where you can actually find a directory of clinicians that you could maybe get connected to in your area. Yeah. Who identify as being well-versed or familiar or open to using metabolic therapies in their practice.
The clinician directory link is at the top.
Clinician directory link is at the top of diagnosisdiet.com. Yeah. That's where you can find it. All right. Is there a big risk of going into ketoacidosis with a keto diet? From what I have heard, not really. It's more like if you're on specific medications, right? Or if you are diabetic, is that right? Yeah. Generally speaking, it's not a big worry. Like my ketones have gone as high as like high sevens,
which is probably not great.
which is not advisable. I wouldn't recommend aiming for that. I don't aim for that, but I was totally fine. If you're worried about it, chat with your doctor or, yeah, a physician who can maybe give more guidance around that. But from what I have heard from experts, clinicians, and whatnot, and just anecdotally speaking, it's not a big concern for most people. That said, if you have a
pre-existing condition.
Yeah, a pre-existing condition, I think like diabetes or specific medications, then it can be more of a concern, but generally not really. Someone hopes to become a metabolic psychiatrist after going to medical school. Cool. I'm excited. Thank you. Will this live stream be posted after and available to watch? Yes, all of our live streams are available to watch again. Okay, maybe let's get back into this list. So we've kind of gone over ketone monitors. We've gone over fitness trackers and like wearables and stuff. We've gone over stuff specifically for sleep and circadian rhythm. And now maybe we'll take a quick peek at like gadgets or devices that were big staples for us around food. So it doesn't have to be an expensive thing, but if you can find just a cheap scale, this was super, super crucial when I was first starting out and measuring and tracking everything I ate. I did not need to keep doing this. I think I stopped measuring and extensively tracking my food around the 3 or 4 month mark, because by that time I had built up a lot of insight and I had a really good idea of what the macros were for everything and portions, and I could do it more intuitively from then on because I had a really good idea. But anytime I hit hiccups in terms of my ketone levels or whatever, I would go back to measuring and tracking so that I could figure out if I was making some kind of mistake in terms of macro calculations or whatever it was. So measuring food, just get little bowls or whatever, I don't know, whatever. You can put a plate on here, you can put a bowl, calibrate it, and weigh your food so that you know exactly how much of everything you are consuming, and then putting it into an app to get the macronutrient breakdown. So what I'm talking about with macronutrients is fat, protein, and carbohydrates. These are kind of the 3 main things that you want to be focusing on, paying attention to, and making sure you're hitting the right ratios with those macronutrients. So what I used to track my food is Chronometer. Okay, now, and again, I don't really use it anymore, but this is what it looks like, completely empty. Maybe I'll try to find a day that I did use it. I don't know. January 2024. Okay. Yeah. And so it's actually really cool too that it can integrate with some of your wearables. So you can see I have some Whoop metrics in there. And I have Strava metrics in there. And Keto Mojo. And you can add notes. So I wrote that my GKI score, which is the combination of the glucose reading and the ketone reading, was 0.7, and just made a quick note that I was feeling really good. But yeah, and then I just have that at various points throughout the day. So it's a really, really handy tool. I just kind of used it as a place to like journal, like not journal, but like keep track of how I was feeling at different ketone levels and after what kinds of exercises and events on top of all of the food tracking. So you can see this is like an example of, it's not a good example, it's bad macros, Lauren. Sure, let's go with lunch. So you can see it gives you the total macros for the meal.
You need the subscription.
Oh, you need the subscription to do this.
To break it down by meal.
Okay, so Rob is just saying that you need a subscription to Chronometer to do this. Do we know how much that costs?
To break it down by
to break it down by meal. Otherwise, it's just per day.
Yeah, I think it's about like $50 to $60 a year.
Okay, yeah. So you can see my breakdown for this like lunch was 43 grams protein, 4 grams carbs, and 58 grams fat. So not bad, maybe a little bit high protein. But anyway, up here, up top, it gives you like the breakdown for the full day. It's such an awkward angle. I don't know if you can see this well. Cool. All right. Yeah. Oh, way overshot my protein that day.
And you can do like meals as well, like create meals.
Yeah, so it was really helpful too in terms of like if you have recipes or meals that you make frequently, you can add it all in here so that you can just quickly pull up that recipe, put how much you had, and it's super easy. So there's like, sorry. It was really great and a really, really, really helpful and instrumental tool. If you get anything, I would invest in Chronometer. Hey, Chronometer and the scale are going to be like essentials, and a ketone monitor. So these are the best. I love these so much in terms of insight. If that's not accessible for region or price, a Keto Mojo is probably going to be your best bet, or whatever blood pricking testing kit you can get.
I just wanted to point out that this is good because it has USB-C as well as battery.
Rob is this guy, and he's like wanting me to tell you that this one's really good because it has a USB-C charging port and it has batteries. So that excites Rob quite a bit. He's smiling big off camera. It's helpful having someone who really like dials in that kind of stuff in your life. So maybe we can link to this one for people.
We got 2 scales actually.
We did get 2 of those, honestly, because it's just awful, like standing there waiting for him to like do his things. Takes forever. So we had to get 2. Okay. Yeah, just trying to catch up with any questions on any of that, but let's keep going with food. We have on our list that a blender is helpful. I don't know if that's a gadget that you need, but ironically, I have a blender here with the smoothie that I was drinking. So yeah, that could be helpful. Chronometer. For supplements, we have a whole video going over the supplements that I started out on. It's kind of changed a bit, so maybe we should do an update on what supplements they are. But this like little case thing was very, very helpful in terms of being able to organize all of the supplements. And sometimes actually they didn't even fit in these, but it was very helpful. So something like this is good. Guess who put the label on it? It's helpful since we both had one. Okay. Maybe let's move on to another little section of gadgets. So I talked a little bit. Someone had made a comment about using AI as a gadget or helpful resource or support in navigating medical keto as an intervention. And yeah, I think that's something we've been trying to explore and figure out how to use most effectively and safely. And so it's an unfortunate reality at this time that it is a little bit hard to get connected with someone who does have a really good grip on using medical ketogenic therapy and metabolic therapies to treat mental disorders, mental illnesses. And I was very fortunate to have Nicole Laurent, I think we have a link to her website in the description below, as like a guide to help me troubleshoot as needed. And it was really, really helpful having her expertise. But Rob, especially lately, has been kind of experimenting with using ChatGPT to get kind of tailored, personalized guidance around using ketogenic therapy for him, and kind of experimenting with if it's possible, if it is actually helpful and whatnot. And I think kind of landing in a place where it's not quite there yet in terms of being able to be like a soul guiding and like completely trusting everything it says sort of thing. But if you do know how to use it, it can be a very helpful tool in terms of troubleshooting or in terms of creating recipes or what other stuff did we use it for? Yeah, meal planning and stuff. And even calculating like macro ratios. But however, that is something to be careful with too, because it did actually make some mistakes at times with that too. So can be helpful and can be an incredible resource, but you do kind of need to stay on top of checking it and making sure everything is, yeah.
It's pretty game changing though in terms of being able to say I need a meal that has 1,300 calories
Totally.
and
So Rob's just off camera
makes my
saying,
macro ratios this, and
yeah.
these are the ingredients I have. And
That was actually a really cool thing and totally recommend doing this. Just put in like what ingredients you have in your fridge and be like, can you suggest a recipe or a meal where that hits these macros? And it can do it. It's wild. But double check, like put it into Chronometer and stuff to make sure. But yeah, that can be even just so helpful and really cool. Okay. Uh, okay, just random other stuff. Oh, I should have mentioned. So we live pretty far north in Canada and it gets so dry in the winter, and we didn't realize, well, our furnace needed to be replaced, and then the humidifier that is attached to the furnace stopped working. We didn't know that until several months in, and we were like shriveling up and like molting basically, and we're like, something's wrong. Anyway, realized that our humidity was really, really low. But something that I've been kind of experiencing, gosh, for probably about a year now, hey? So I used to wear this Garmin watch like all the time, 24/7, even while I was sleeping to get those sleep metrics. I don't anymore because the Aura is easier to wear it at night and it gives better sleep metrics. But anyway, I have it all bandaged up because I was at soccer last night and I wanted to wear my watch again. But I have like, maybe I'll try to take it off. I like have polysporin on it too, and I've been wearing that for like 24 hours. So it's not going to be looking its gnarliest, but which is maybe a good thing. Sorry in advance. If you're squeamish, look away. This like rash, it doesn't look very bad right now because it's been like soaking in polysporin for like 24 hours, but on both sides. Sometimes it flares up so bad and it's so painful. And I thought it was like, I've kind of gotten something like that wearing the watch before, even before keto, but never this bad and never this prolonged. And it's become chronic. Like I have not been able to get rid of it. And there is something that I have read about and that I have had other people ask me to talk about or ask if I've experienced it around keto rash. There's a specific term for it. That's not keto rash. It's more scientific than that. A medical term. Yeah. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it is something that can happen. And I kind of wonder if this is it. I had asked Nicole about it like almost a year ago now, and she didn't think it was that and she didn't know, but I don't know. So it's something to explore.
you've washed your you should mention that.
Oh, yeah. Like I wash this with like antibacterial soap. We've like soaked it in alcohol to like kill all the germs and stuff. I wash it every day after every run and stuff. And so, and I don't wear it 24/7 anymore. I only wear it for running and soccer and working out and stuff. And so I don't really know what's going on. And you had mentioned that you were starting, I'm pointing at Rob off camera, that he was starting to get a bit of a rash too. Anyway, I got here from the humidifier because I did notice that it got a lot worse when the humidity was really low in our house or when it was really dry. And we ended up getting a humidifier just to increase the humidity in our house because it was almost unbearable. And it did help heal it a little bit, but it's never really fully gone away. And so this is probably something we need to explore more. Maybe do a whole video around the keto rash and if this is it and exploring what to do. And yeah. Oh no, sorry about the rash. Can you change the band? Tried that too. I actually ordered a like fabric band to try to wear instead, and it didn't help either.
You should also mention that it's in your rings as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Rob is also pointing out that I get it in like where I wear my rings too. So you can kind of see it. It's like not the happiest skin there.
And those would be gold. Not somebody suggested that was maybe an allergy to nickel, but
Yeah, these are gold. I don't know. Something to figure out and explore. Put bone marrow on it. Okay. I mean, thank you. Like, I should have come to you guys a lot earlier. Thank you. I will try that. Yeah. Allergy test. I'm it just feels like it's related to keto because that's when it started and got really bad. And yeah. So I don't know. Okay. Anything else? Not really gadgets. I don't feel great about referring to Nicole as a gadget, but
no,
she was like a
support.
support. Yeah. And a big resource. If you're watching Nicole, yeah. Spectre gadget. Anyway, back on track. I'm like kind of losing it. It's been a long time. Anyway, so Nicole was a really big support. I already talked about her as like my keto coach. Really, really, really helpful in terms of troubleshooting and being able to provide that guidance. Um, AI, ChatGPT, if you know how to use it and in a safe manner and stuff. Our Discord community would kind of like to direct you guys there too, because it is a growing resource of people who are using this and figuring things out for themselves, coming together and kind of just sharing knowledge and resources and experiences. And it can be a really valuable too to connect in that way as well. I think there's a link in the description below, but you can find the link to join that Discord community for free. What is it? Metabolictherapysupport.com. Yeah? Good. Metabolictherapysupport.com. I'm part of the Discord. It's Cheyenne. Hey. Thanks for being here. Good to see you. All right. Well, I think that is kind of everything.
I think you should address this like when doing it on a budget.
Okay. Yeah. So
just as a brief review of all the.
Yeah. So Rob is saying that it might be helpful to kind of go over what maybe to focus on in all these gadgets if you are doing this on a budget or want to be like mindful about sticking to certain things. And so if your budget is more limited, I think the things that I would really, really recommend trying to figure out how to make work and fit into your budget in terms of implementing this as a metabolic therapy is a ketone monitor. So the Keto Mojo is probably the best one, like biggest bang for your buck sort of thing. It maybe can be expensive in the beginning. Each of the test strips I think are like $1. And so, especially in the beginning, when you're testing multiple times a day, that can add up. But hopefully, you can get to a point where that can reduce to just once a day. And then maybe even getting to a point of just checking it if you're feeling off or just, yeah, kind of on a more infrequent basis. The actual monitor is pretty affordable. It's like
I think it's like
60,
40
40 in that range, $40 to $60. Yeah. And then Chronometer, which is the app that we were showing you about logging your food. And that's kind of where I kept all my data consolidated to. It was also helpful that Nicole could have access to that as well. So that was cool. Rob was saying though, for the meal breakdown and some other perks, it is a subscription. And I think it was like $60 a year, but probably a worthwhile investment in terms of how big of a tool it is in this process.
Just wanted to say that this is probably the biggest area that people go wrong in terms of like not tracking their macros and thinking that they're eating keto foods.
Yeah. So Rob just said off camera, I don't know if you can hear him, that's probably like the biggest place that we see people not doing medical ketogenic therapy properly, thinking that they're eating ketogenic foods, but they're not accurately or like precisely enough measuring exactly what they're eating, putting it into something like Chronometer to be able to get a really good breakdown of what their macronutrients actually are. It is so, so easy to way overshoot your carbs and your protein without even realizing it, only eating what you think are ketogenic foods. And so it's so important in the beginning, monitoring, measuring. So the kitchen scale is another thing that I would really recommend investing in. It's kind of necessary if you're going to be using keto as a medical intervention. And again, I don't use it really at all anymore, but in the beginning, you need it. Yeah, I guess maybe just wrapping this all up with you don't need to do all the stuff that we did. You don't need to use all these different trackers. But if you are interested in like getting more data about your body, your brain, the way it works, and being able to relate it with your ketone levels and your mental health and whatnot, it is a really kind of incredible process of just getting to know yourself better. And all of these different wearables and trackers and apps and whatnot are just really, if you approach it with the right mindset, can be just incredibly empowering in terms of allowing you to understand yourself better and understand what types of interventions or what tailoring to these interventions are ultimately going to improve your quality of life the best. And I think that that's maybe important. Like, I think that a lot of people maybe can get a little bit carried away with getting a little bit lost in like the data and the metric analyzing and stuff. And it totally can get overwhelming. And like I said, I've needed to take breaks, but I think just really trying to stay focused on why you're collecting it. And it's not meant to be this taxing extra job, it's meant to be this empowering thing of learning more about yourself and figuring out how you can take care of yourself better or in a way that feels best for you. Okay. Well, I will maybe stop talking now. But thank you everyone so much for being a part of this. I really enjoy these live streams, getting to connect with you guys in this way, doing kind of these deep dives on various aspects of stuff we've done over the last year and a half around metabolic therapies and ketogenic therapy for mental illness. Let us know if there is a topic that you would like to see one of these live streams on, or just topics you'd like to see regular videos on. Let us know what you're wanting to know more about. Just gonna pop back in here. Someone's asking about strawberries and staying in ketosis. Yes, but strawberries have like a surprisingly high amount of carbs, actually, even though they are berries and like kind of a low carb option. So can't eat very much. But yes, some. And that, I think that's going to be a different answer for everyone. I think that like levels of carbs and various things are going to affect everyone differently. And that's, again, part of the point of getting in tune with how all these different things affect you personally, your ketone levels, and all these sorts of things. And hopefully some of these gadgets and ways of measuring or things to consider are helpful in that process. So yeah, I think, do you see any other things to address? Okay, well, thank you very, very much. I just want to quickly again direct you guys to our peer support community on Discord. You can find out more about that and join it for free at metabolictherapysupport.com. Maybe I will try to compile a list to all of the different gadgets and tools that I've talked about in this video with links. No affiliate links. I won't put any affiliate links in this one because it's all just stuff that I have used and really recommend. And so we're not going to do any affiliate links in this video. We do have affiliate links in other videos for I think the Keto Mojo and the Sci Bio. It's really just to get you guys a discount code. So if you want that, go find that in the description of another video. But yeah, we'll put together links of everything in this video too. And yeah, thanks so much. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Wishing you and your loved ones good health. Bye.